Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
The Union Cabinet on Wednesday approved a bill to amend the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, bringing in more stringent provisions. What are these provisions and really how will they make a difference? That is what we are looking at in Government Matters today with me, Ruhi Tiwari. To talk to us, we have Debayan Roy in the studio with us, who tracks the courts as well as legal matters for ThePrint. Debayan, the Union Cabinet yesterday, as I mentioned, proposed a bill that would amend the POCSO Act. Now, what are these amendments? We understand the death penalty has also been brought in for aggravated penetrative sexual offences. But besides that, what else has happened and what does this really mean?
See, this bill was primarily brought on January 8, 2019 by the then Women and Child Development Minister in the Lok Sabha.
Who was then Maneka Gandhi.
Yeah, right. But then the session lapsed, so the bill lapsed. So it's what we get is that the same bill has again
come back to the cabinet for approval.
It's got to go ahead from the Union Cabinet. Now, this bill has several broad categories. When we understand that death penalty is being given for child rapes, we immediately think that any child rape would get a death penalty, but that's not the case under the new bill. There are three categories. One is penetrative sexual assault, one is aggravated penetrative sexual assault, and one is penetrative sexual offences. So these are the three broad categories.
So death penalty has been for the aggravated penetrative
sexual assault? Yes, only for aggravated penetrative sexual assault. Now, aggravated penetrative sexual assault is something when a sexual penetration act occurs with a child who is below the age of 16 years.
So 16 years has been set
yes,
as the
16 years is the age limit in the new bill. If we go by the POCSO Act 2012, then the definition of child was any person below the age of 18 years. So that is changed this time. However, the aggravated part of the sexual penetration part is for offences when it's committed by a police officer, when it's committed by an army jawan, when it's committed by a person who knows that the child is pregnant, when it's committed by someone in a very heinous manner so that it causes death of the child, when it is during a natural calamity. So these are the several clauses under this section of aggravated penetrative sexual assault, and for that the maximum punishment is death penalty.
Right. So but has the minimum punishment
yes,
been
the minimum punishment has been increased from 7 years to 10 years now. However, that's for the penetrative sexual assault. For aggravated part, it's now 20 years.
Okay.
So there is either you face a jail term of 20 years or you face death penalty.
Right.
But we'll get to that later. How death penalty, is a pretty obscure part in today's judicial system.
Right.
But then there are other changes also. This time we have changes with the pornographic part.
Right.
That if any person keeps any pornographic material at his place which features a child, then that person will also be held guilty. And
what is the punishment prescribed?
3 to 5 years. And But the new bill which is coming in also highlights that if you store such materials in your computer, then also you're guilty of the offense. And if you, the new amendment says that if you fail to delete that data, then also you're guilty of the offense.
So it's more stringent to that.
Yes, if you circulate the data and if you're the source of the pornographic material of the child, in a way so that the child is harmed, then also you are guilty of the offense. So these are the several changes which have been broadly made in the 2019.
We've talked about how death penalty has been introduced as a maximum punishment for aggravated penetrative sexual assault. But really there is a lot of debate around death penalty itself.
Yeah.
Particularly, when it comes to heinous crimes and even with crimes against children, how effective is death penalty has always been a question. And there is a case against death penalty in terms of, it's not, we have to have better access to justice system than having more stringent punishment. So what is your take, and is there data that can corroborate or tell us what death penalty really does?
So Ruhi very correctly pointed out, there was a study done by Huck Studies and NLSIO Bangalore, I think a year back, which stated that about 94.6%, or to be precise 95%, of the offenders in child rape cases are known to the victims.
Right.
So when this amount of offenders are known to the victims, then there's a huge chance of such statements being made by children being retracted in the trial stage. Right. We all are aware of how long a trial takes in India. You know? So these statements are often retracted in the juvenile courts. If the offender is juvenile, if it's an adult, then in the adult court, these statements are retracted by their parents, the peer pressure, etc. They retract their statements because
of social stigma.
Absolutely, because another study by the same institute said that about 53% of these children experience sexual assault from their family members.
Right.
However, only 3.4% of such cases are reported to the police. So you can see what is the,
So you're
gap.
saying it doesn't even reach conviction. Forget about the
of
punishment
course.
that is
So,
going
so
to.
the data by the NCRB states that 89% of such cases are still pending, with only 28% of convictions being granted. And we're not talking about death penalty. We're talking about maybe
Right.
the minimum imprisonment or the maximum punishment of 20 years or 10 years or 7 years. So that also has not been granted in about, say, 65% or 60% of the cases. So, bringing in a maximum punishment doesn't really act as a deterrent to the crime. There are several loopholes to this theory. Right. See, first of all, a problem with death penalty is that now killing of children after the rape will become a norm. Because, when the accused would know that the child can identify me in the future, or that would be, the child
Let's
would
say there is
become
a
witness.
danger, it can become a norm. Yeah.
Yes, there's this problem that of these children being killed after the incident of rape. Secondly, in India, unfortunately, we do not have any kind of child exclusive courts. The children during the trial of such cases keeps on meeting the accused inside and outside the courtroom.
So is there any talk of having courts that would exclusively
Not
deal
at all.
with
Unfortunately,
crimes
not
against
at all.
children?
Unfortunately, not at all. That's a very sad state of affairs, because you won't believe, in such cases, which I have personally witnessed in several trial courts, is that these children are directly questioned by the lawyers. They do not have a attorney to sit with them, because obviously when you're questioned, you are in the question box, and when the cross-examination or the interrogation happens. So imagine a 13-year-old or a 16-year-old relaying down the entire episode that she went through in a packed courtroom,
Right.
of visitors. And if it's an in-chamber hearing, then also you have male adults,
Right, of
advocates
course,
present
right.
there. And then again, when you exit the courtroom, you again meet the accused. When you enter the courtroom, you meet the accused.
It's traumatic and
Absolutely, and a compensation is rarely granted in such cases, or it's not enough for such traumatic episodes. So I think this entire thing of death penalty being a deterrent is somehow
quite
misplaced. Yeah.
However, in a recent development, Union Minister Smriti Irani has clarified that the centre has proposed setting up 1,023 designated fast-track courts for cases of child sexual abuse and pending rape cases under the Criminal Law Amendment Act 2018. However, we must remember that all these cases which lie at the fast-track courts, even if they are wrapped up in a fixed period of time, will take as much time in the high courts and the Supreme Courts when they're appealed.
Right. Well, Deban, you're right. I think there that, laws and punishments are not what we lack. What we really like is better access to the justice system. Well, thank you so much for watching another episode of Government Matters.